Power to the truth. This is Margo. This is Friday, January 4th, 2019. And it's 4:04 Pacific Time, United States of America. And I got really good feedback about the photos that I started showing yesterday. So I'm going to continue sharing a few photos from the area and from other places that I've been as I find them and feel like they're pertinent or would like to share them with you. So we're going to go over the comments in a little bit here. But what we're looking at here, this is Pyramid Lake north of Reno, Nevada, and we've seen it on the earthquake map. And it gets quite a few earthquakes out there in that area and in Smoke Creek Desert, which is north of Pyramid Lake. But this is the pyramid, and this is a little pyramid that has come up, well, not come up, but been exposed since the water has been retreating. The water level has been going down and down because it's been being drained off and being used in different communities around Pyramid Lake. And the Truckee River feeds into it, and the Truckee River comes down from Mount Rose, and it snows up there a lot in the winter time, and then when the snow melts, the water comes down the Truckee River and provides water to Reno and Sparks and all of the surrounding areas, and it does feed into Pyramid Lake. So I haven't been out there in a couple of years, so I don't know what level the water is at right now, but it was going down. And so you can see this is in the desert. So this is on the east side of the Sierra Nevada mountains, and so this is kind of what makes this area so unique. You've got the Sierra Nevada mountains with the pine trees and everything, and the beautiful hiking, and then that's on the west side, and then on the east side you've got the desert. And this is Pyramid Lake is an Indian reservation, and so this is sacred land, and the Paiute Indians live here and own it. So if you want to zoom in, and we can get a little close up, and these rocks are called tufu rocks, and they're very old. And I fell in love with Pyramid Lake. I've camped out here. I've come out here a whole lot, and done a lot of hiking and camping, and come by myself, come with my friend. So it's very mystical and what used to be, but I don't know what it's like now, because it's been a few years since I've been out there, and it's hard for me to take road trips anymore or go anywhere. So that's okay. I've had my journeys. I'll be 65 in May, and I was very adventurous, and I've had my journeys and followed my dreams, and you know, have pretty much done everything I wanted to do. So not very many people can say that, but it all comes with a price. I don't have any money or fame or fortune, and I never really wanted that. So it was all about discovery and exploring, and I've also been exploring consciousness and reality. So let's go to the next picture. This is another view of the pyramid. This is from a different side, from like when you were looking at it a minute ago. This is on the left side of it. And there are all kinds of cool rocks that are on the shore there all around, and they look alive. They look like beings live in them. And this is a very famous structure. It's called the Stone Mother. Here, this is the mother, and then this is her basket, and this is, it looks like a big egg, and I'm going to show you that close up in a second here. You can see the people boat out there, and this is another view of the Stone Mother, the back view, and then here's her basket. And you can drive right up. I mean, it's a long way around, and it's all on dirt roads, but you can see the tracks in the sand. You can drive right up to the edge of the water. And this is the basket, and you can actually, I've actually gotten up in there and climbed up in there. It's not comfortable in there. You can't spend any time in there, but it's pretty cool. So there's that. So that's back to our first picture. So that's our slideshow for today. And now I'm going to go over some weather and climate things, and then we'll go to the comments, and then we'll get right into our earthquake report. Now this is from a Facebook post. This is from Robin shared this post. It was from John's Weather Channel, and it says this is from Tasmania. The photo was taken by Josh Angue via Pulse FM Tasmania, and his caption says, "What a scary, eerie look. Mount Wellington, Tasmania, not long ago as fires raged through Tasmania." So you can see that the smoke is just covering up the picture there, covering up the mountain. And so in light of that, I pulled up Climate Reanalyzer, and this is the 2-meter temperature anomaly from today. And you can, this is Tasmania down here, and you can see that it's really this brown and red is coming all across Australia. And then also the sea surface temperature anomaly for this area. Now their latest data is from yesterday at the 3rd, but before that their latest data was from the 24th. So they went like a whole week and a half without having data, and I was checking every day because I follow this sea surface temperature anomalies to see what's going on with the ice melt and stuff. So I just wonder what this was like in, you know, in the 10 days between the 24th and then the 3rd. But we can see this is Tasmania. Here's New Zealand, and the ocean from Australia all the way across is very, very high, very red, brown and reds, and this is these are the temperatures, degrees per centigrade or Celsius that are hotter than normally, therefore sea surface temperature anomaly. And so we can see all around Tasmania it's up in this red zone, which is about 5.5 degrees, and then it's red all around New Zealand too, brown and red. So they're struggling down there. They're really having a time. So I'm going to leave that up for just a second. And then, okay, so I'm going to close out Facebook. I don't need that one anymore. Then, I have something interesting on NASA Worldview to show you. This is Krakatoa. We finally have a day where it's cloud free, and so I'll zoom out for you to get your bearings. This is Java down here in Indonesia, and this is Sumatra. And then when you zoom in, right down here, these 4 little islands, and then this one in the middle is where Krakatoa is. And so we can see the smoke coming up, and the triangle there is the volcano. So we can see the smoke coming up and covering the whole area. And it's been cloud covered every day until today. I've been looking to see if we could see it. So it's releasing huge amounts, and of course it's been exploding some more too. So now I'm going to share an article with you that came out a couple of days ago from nature.com, news and views from January 2nd, and it's called Methane Beneath Greenland's Ice Sheet is Being Released. Now, we haven't heard about this before, but this is to be expected, and the Greenland ice sheet is melting exponentially. And just so if you want to see how bad it is, let's go up to 2-meter temperature anomaly. Here it is from today, and Greenland looks like a red chili pepper. It's so red. And it's actually, the ice is melting even in the dark and in the winter time up there. And we can also see, while we're here, the red, how red it is all across northern Canada. Southern Canada, and in the northern United States. So we've got problems, Houston. So I'm not going to read this whole article. I'm going to hit some highlights, and I will leave the link below so that you can check it out yourself. Methane produced in sediments beneath the Greenland ice sheet is released to the atmosphere by meltwater in the summer. This suggests that glacial melt could be an important global source of this greenhouse gas. And you know, when we were looking at CAMS at surface level ozone, it was coming up over Greenland, or coming up out of the surface, and it was probably from the coming up through these melting ice sheets, I'm thinking now. Here's figure 1. It says sediment-rich meltwater released from Russell Glacier, Greenland. Lamarche Gagnon et al. Report that such discharge contains concentrations of methane equal to those of many terrestrial rivers. So it's concentrated, and it's been sitting there a long time, I'm thinking, under those ice sheets that have been around forever, not forever, but for thousands and thousands of years. And so the sediment and everything has just been sitting there, and who knows what kind of carbon and stuff that's been decomposed that was frozen and now it's melting. Okay, here we go. Sediments beneath glaciers and ice sheets harbor carbon reserves that, under certain conditions, can be converted to methane, a potent greenhouse gas. However, the formation and release of such methane is an unquantified component of the Arctic methane budget. Writing in Nature, Lamarche Gagnon et al. Present direct measurements of dissolved methane in water discharged from a land-terminating glacier of the Greenland ice sheet during the summer. This water, which is known as proglacial discharge, was supersaturated with methane, and the amount of methane released to the atmosphere from this discharge rivals that from other terrestrial rivers. The findings suggest that the form and evolution of subglacial hydrological systems contribute to the control of the Arctic methane cycle. Atmospheric methane concentrations varied substantially in the past, and it has been hypothesized that large reserves of methane can form and be trapped under ice sheets and glaciers when there is a favorable combination of carbon-rich sediments, high subglacial pressures, oxygen-poor conditions, and low temperatures. Rapid release of this methane during glacial retreat might trigger rapid warming, but whether large-scale release of such glacial methane can occur in the future is disputed. So here's another picture, and so on and so forth. So they'll be looking at that, and you can read the article, but this is just another source, and it's coming from everywhere. It's coming from everywhere, and you know, you can't stop it. As the planet is heating up and warming, this is going to happen. So there's that. And now let's go over to our comments that have come in on my video from yesterday. And I had a lot of good ones, and I appreciate all of them. And first one was from Michael Berlin. Much love, Margo. Well, thank you, Michael. Much love right back at you there. Thank you for being a faithful viewer here. Gary Zod says the world needs more people like you, Margo. Lots of love. Thank you, Gary Zod. I appreciate that. You're very kind to say that. Robert Hayes says, hey Margo, I really like to see those Mount Rose and Pyramid etc. shots. Nice. By the way, there's some observations you may have already seen about your area that are pretty interesting. They say rain this weekend is expected. Does blossoming happen after rain in the high desert this time of year? Thanks again for all your insights and work. Not this time of year, Robert, because it's cold. It is cold, and it's not just rain, but we're going to get snow this weekend. We're high. It's a high elevation. We're mile high. We're a mile high city, pretty much here. Almost. I mean, Reno's about 4,200 feet, and then Mount Rose is, of course, right at the peak. It's 10,700 feet. But the foothills are 5,000 feet, 5,500 feet. So even in the desert, it's cold here in the wintertime. So no blossoming this time of year. But yeah, we're getting a big storm coming in tomorrow. It's a winter storm, and we're going to have a series of storms through next week, it looks like. And it's that time of year, but we're equipped for it here. We expect it, and I have studded snow tires on my car so I can get out on the road and, do errands and go where I need to go, because the ice, once, if it refreezes or whatever, once if the streets melt and then it refreezes at night, that's just treacherous. But with the studded snow tires, I do okay. And then he gives a link to the channel where it was predicting that storm, the weather. Thank you, Robert Hayes, and thank you for the comments, and thank you for listening. Rosemary Hill, bring on the beautiful pictures. Love them. I live in Grass Valley, so I'm just over the hill from you. Happy New Year. Well, Happy New Year to you too, Rosemary. And you're my neighbor, so I hope you're doing okay over there. And I hope that the Paradise Fire did not affect you too badly. So thank you for viewing and being here, and thank you for your comment. Then Troy Turton says, hi Margo, I don't know if you know, but you can at least follow the American volcanoes here. I get reports in my email from the Alaska ones just about every day, and when they were active, the ones in Hawaii too. So he gives a link to volcanoes from usgs.gov. Thank you, Troy. Appreciate that information, and I'll be checking that out. And then he leaves another comment with the link on how you can get notified by email. So thank you, Troy. That's good to know. I appreciate it. So thank you for being here and contributing. And then Hugh Jazzoli says, they changed cams again. I wish they would stop messing with it. And I said, Hugh, I just went to cams to see what you're talking about. I saw that they only have 1 day's data up for methane and carbon dioxide. That day is from Monday, December 31st. So they don't have data up for the rest of the week. That's why it's missing the base time column on the left. I've seen this before. When they release the other days, that column will come back. And he says, okay, sounds like it's temporary. And yeah, they do that. And for whatever reason, and we'll just go over to cams and show you, for whatever reason, methane and carbon dioxide, like I said in my video yesterday, cams lags on posting that data, sometimes up to a week. And so for whatever reason, I don't know, but then they'll post it all, and then you'll have the column over here that has the base time. But when they only have 1 day's worth of data, they leave up the last one that they have, which was Monday, December 31st. And so that's what this is. And so the data from Monday is there, and then when you run the movie, the rest is in the forecast period. And that's what that looks like. But for instance, here's when they get the other days put up, it'll look like this. They'll have 3 columns instead of just 1, like with the ozone here. Okay, so that's what that means. They're just lax on getting their data up. And then when they put the data up, a lot of times it's not up there for very long, because then they get caught up, and then they put a whole bunch of new data up, and then the old data from the older days goes away really fast, so you have to get it like really fast. And then Patricia Powell says, great pics. Love that area. Used to visit Tahoe often. Lived in Davis, California. Thanks for doing this, Pat. Well, thank you, Pat, for your comment. And I'm glad you liked the pictures. And, you know, so you know this area. And, you know, a lot of people, even if they haven't lived here, they have visited here. A lot of people come to Reno and Tahoe for different reasons, or they come to Vegas and then they come up to Reno. So, you know, it's a lot of people know this area, so I'm happy to share what I have. So thank you for your comment, and thank you for tuning in. So now let's get right into our earthquake report. And we're seeing 236 earthquakes in the last 24 hours of all magnitudes. And I'm going to go over here to the 2.5 and higher magnitudes. And there are 29 on the map for the last 24 hours. So we're just going to start down here, and we can see that these red lines, you know, they're coming in on all these red lines, and we can see an increase in the larger ones. There, this one, let's just start with this one right here that's just popping out at me. This was a 4.9, 62 kilometers northeast of Laredo, Mexico, and it's actually in the California Gulf of California, and it's on this San Andreas fault line. So this is significant to have a 4.9. That's quite large to have right there on that fault line. And then we've got a 2.5 that happened at Julian, California too. So that's in the higher range. Then down here, so we saw that. Then down here we had a 4.9 at Puerto San Jose, Guatemala, 35 kilometers deep. It was actually in the ocean, so that probably didn't do any damage, but people probably felt it. Then down here we had a 4.6 at 209 kilometers east-southeast of Margo, Ecuador, 126 kilometers deep. Let's see where that was. Now it looks like it's not in a populated area, and so it would have, if it was in a populated area, it probably would have caused some damage, because the structures down there are not built to resist earthquakes. And Quito is the capital of Ecuador, and it's the largest city, and it's right up here. So it was quite a bit of ways from Quito. So the closest city, well, they say east-southeast of Marcos. I don't even see Marcos. I guess I'd have to zoom in. But there's that. Then there was a 4.7, 136 kilometers southeast of Iquique, Chile, 139 kilometers deep. And I'm not seeing a bunch of cities around that, so that probably didn't cause any damage. And then over here on this in the North Atlantic Ocean, we had a 4.9 that was 10 kilometers deep, right on the edge of this red line between the between these plates here, right on that red line. And while we're here, let's go over to the Dominican Republic. They've had 7 earthquakes that were 2.5 magnitude or higher. The largest one came in recently. It was a 4.4 at Grand Anse, Guadalupe, 31 kilometers deep. And it looks like it was to the east of St. John's Island there. And I'll just call them off. I'll go up 3.2, and you can see where they light up. 2.8, 2.9, 3.3 Puerto Rico, 3.0, 2.8, and then the 4.4. And then while we're here, I'll go ahead and look at all magnitudes over there, and we'll have that area covered. And so how many did we have over here? 7 of 2.5 magnitude and higher. So there were 13 total. So there were 6 more that were smaller. So you can see them peppered around on the islands and in the water there. Now, let's go back over to this map. And let's go across the Pacific Ocean. Looks like this one came in last night after my report. This was a 4.8, 52 kilometers northwest of Raoul Island, New Zealand. It came in at 7:50 p.m. Pacific time, 203 kilometers deep. So that was pretty far north. They probably didn't feel that, but we can see that it was to the west of that red line. Then in Indonesia, there was a 5.6, 189 kilometers northwest of Samlaki, Indonesia, 117 kilometers deep. So that was in the ocean. I don't see a tsunami warning there, and so there was probably no damage from that. It's probably far enough away from any mainlands to not have any damage. Then up here, there was a 4.5 at Chitral, Pakistan, 117 kilometers deep at 2:11 this morning. Then there was a 4.2 at Sarpol-e Zahab, Iran, 12.4 kilometers deep, and a 4.8 at Hamare, Albania, 11.6 kilometers deep. Let's look at this one. So this is just north of Greece. Greece is here, Italy is over here, and then here's Albania, and this was on the land. This was a 4.8. Now that's big enough to cause damage if it was near buildings. So there's that, and we can see that those are near these red lines coming up. Then nothing over here that's showing up in Japan and everything, but that was very active yesterday. Then up here off the coast of Kamchatka, here's another 4.4 that was 10 kilometers deep. That happened last night. Then as we come across the Pacific Ocean, we've got them dotted around in these Aleutian Islands. There was also a 3.8 at Redoubt Volcano up here, 155 kilometers deep. So I'll just call these off. 3.3 Cold Bay, 3.4 Atka, 3.4 Chernabura Island, and a 2.7 at Chignik Lake. So that one, this Chignik Lake was on the land right next to the lake, it looks like. That was a 2.7. That's probably not big enough to do damage, but it looks like it's in a populated area. So we saw this one. That was the 3.8 at Redoubt Volcano. And that's all for Alaska. Here is a 2.5 at Yucatan, Alaska, 0 kilometers deep. And then, and we'll come back and well, I changed my mind. Let's just cover these little ones while we're up here in the region too. So, in this Alaska area, here's some smaller ones up in the mainland. Let's see if there's any up north. No, not that I can see. So on this map, we have 72 now showing on this map, peppered around, and even over here into the Yukon. And let's look at Anchorage and see what's going on in the Anchorage area. We've got these red ones are the most recent ones. There's a 2.3 at Big Lake. So we can see, so that's 42. So they're still clustering there. And yeah, those are in the -1s to 1s and the low 2s, it looks like. So there's that. So we've covered Alaska. Let's look at Hawaii. I forgot Hawaii yesterday, and then I went back and looked. They had a 2.5 on the mainland yesterday. That was all that showed up yesterday. And then here today, they've got a 1.8, 2.1, and 1.9. So they're slowing down over there. Now, going over, let's just stay with this map here. This one catches my eye. It's a 4.1 in the ocean, in this subduction zone, 148 kilometers west of Brookings, Oregon, 10 kilometers deep. So we can see that this is right there on that plate that's part of this Cascadia subduction zone. So that's, and then look, there was one right here on the edge of that, 2.4 at Redway, California. Now this one happened at 3:06 p.m. today, and this one happened at yeah, that was at 3:06. This one was almost at 3 o'clock, 2:58. So 8 minutes apart. So this one, this big one happened first, and then this little one happened, or smaller one, 2.4. So we're going to keep an eye on that. That's concerning. Now, let's hop over. Oh, and I saw one that showed up here in Canada last night. It was like a 2.3 or 2.1 or something, and now they took it off. So Canada does get earthquakes. Here's a small one, a 1.8 at Ridgely, Tennessee. That's in that New Madrid hazardous area, seismic zone. We saw one there yesterday too, remember? This one came in at 1:39 this morning. So that's picking up. That's definitely picking up. So let's cover this northwest area. then we'll come down and across. So up here, I'm going to turn this off. Here was a 1.9. It was an explosion 13 kilometers northeast of Vernonia, Oregon. Minus 0.6 kilometers deep. So that was up in a hill or a mountain. So 1.9 explosion, so they were doing some blasting there, it sounds like. 0.3 desert air, Washington. Let's see when this explosion happened. That was at 2:14 today. So that was right before. That happened right before these two earthquakes happened. So that's something. Here's one just across the border. This is another explosion at Princeton, Canada. 2.1 magnitude, and it's a minus 1.5 kilometers deep. So that was up in a mountain. So they're doing blasting everywhere. Well, not everywhere, but you know what I mean. Here's a 2.1 at Emmett, Idaho, 0.1 kilometers deep. And this is part of the Yellowstone region and the hazardous area that comes right down through these mountains from Montana through Wyoming and down into Utah. So let's just zoom in and check these out. This is Lincoln, Montana, had a 1. Oh, that's weird. Up here it says 1.4 and down here it says 1.5 magnitude, 16 kilometers deep. See if there's more. Yep, there's more than one there. There's a cluster. There were 3 there. There was a 1 at 4:40 this morning. I guess they weren't blasting at 4:40 in the morning. I don't know. 1.9 at 5:34. Now this is Pacific time, remember, so I don't know if they're on Pacific time or Mountain time. So even if they were on Mountain time, it would only be 1 hour later. And then a 1.4 that says 1.5 down here. So there's that. Then in the Yellowstone area here, there was a 1.9 at Old Faithful Geysers. Here we had a 2.6 at Afton, Wyoming, and a 1.8 at Soda Springs, Wyoming. And coming down into Utah, look at all of these. We've got 7 here today. We've got a 1.4 at Manti, Utah. And look at these down here. Here's this little tiny one on the road. 0.9 at Beaver. 1.5, 16 kilometers southwest of Monroe, 9 kilometers deep. Now remember, we saw some others here at Monroe a couple of days ago, so they're back at it. Here's a 1.9 at minus 1 kilometers deep, so that's up in a mountain. And here's a 2.6 at Monroe at minus 2.6 kilometers deep. So it it makes me think that they're tunneling. They're like, you know, doing some tunnel boring, or something's going on in that area. And when I was looking at this area a couple of days ago, the earthquakes were, now these are all, okay, now, like this one at Monroe is 9 kilometers deep. So that's underneath the earth. And then this one is at -1 kilometers deep. So that's above the surface level, so up in a mountain. And then this one is -2.6 kilometers. So that's higher up in the mountain. So it makes me think that they're clearing out the mountain from top to bottom for whatever reason. That's just what comes to mind. I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't work there. I don't know anyone who works there. So that's just my hunch. Take it or leave it. So there's those. Let's see if we got all of them. Here's another one, 1.5 at Loa, Utah, 8 kilometers deep. Did we get this one? Manti, yes. Helper, we've seen them at Helper, 1.8. That's a -3.3 kilometers deep. So that's even higher up in the mountain. So I don't know what's going on there. Now remember, that's where Utah is, where the NSA is going to be building their big computer system, where they're going to be storing all the data. So who knows what that's connected to. I'm just saying. Okay, let's do Nevada next. Okay, coming across. Okay, let's go in and see what's going on at Reno. We have a -0.2 at Sun Valley. Sun Valley is like a suburb of Reno. It's in the northern part. Here's a 0.1 at Truckee, California. Now, okay. Actually, yeah, here's Truckee. So this is Route 80 that comes from Reno and down through the mountains and through Truckee and then across Donner Pass. And here's Grass Valley, where that lady lives. She said the Grass Valley area. So that one was to the north of 80 there. I'm trying to think what's there. There's Boca Raton Reservoir. Here's Boca Hill. So it was up in this area. Yeah, this is, they do boating and stuff like that. There are some hiking trails. So there's that. Here's Lake Tahoe. Oh, and just so you know where you were seeing, this is Pyramid Lake. And the pyramid is, oh, right over here. That's an island. That's not the pyramid. That's an island. The pyramid is right over here. So the pictures I was showing you is right here. That's the pyramid. Looks bigger than that, doesn't it? Yep, there it is. And then here's the Stone Mother. And there's the little pyramid in front of the big pyramid. And so forth. And so that's where that is. Now you know. And so nothing at Carson City, nothing at Gardnerville. Well, it's really quiet down there today. Let's see if there's anything, nothing in northern Nevada. You know, this is interesting how it goes in cycles. Here's 1.5 at Hawthorne. Then we're getting down into this whole Hawthorne area, Walker Lake. That's Walker Lake. That was a man-made lake, by the way. I think. I'm pretty sure. So I'll just call these off. Already showed the 1.5. Here's a 1.0 at Bridgeport, California, right down there across the border. 0.4, 0.5, 0.5, 0.3, and a minus 0.1. Those are all at Hawthorne. And then here's Tonopah, Warm Springs, and then we're getting into the Nevada test site. Here's a 1.7 at Goldfield. And then we're down into our Nevada test site where they test the have Area 51 and they have their underground nuclear testing and all that kind of stuff. And we've got a minus 0.1, minus 0.4, 1.1, minus 0.4, minus 0.4, minus 0.1, minus 0.2, minus 0.1, and a 0. So that's all of those. So nothing huge, but enough to cause stuff to happen. It would cause stuff to happen if you keep on doing all that stuff. So let's come on up. Here's an explosion. 1.4 magnitude. Man, we got a lot of explosions on this Friday. 40 kilometers south-southeast of Sandy Valley, Nevada. 0 kilometers deep. So that was right at the surface. Let's come on up. Here's some stuff right in the middle of Death Valley. Look at all this activity here today. Let's see what we've got. I'm going to try and get the Nevada ones off the map. I'll call them out. 1.7 Furnace Creek. So those were Furnace Creek, but there is part of Death Valley. And I've driven through there. It looks like death. Minus 0.3 Searles Valley. 0.3 minus 0.1. 0.6 and a 1 at Lone Pine. So there's those. So that's interesting. And let's see. I got this. I got that. That was the explosion. Let's look at this one. There's a 1.3 at Bodfish. We've seen them there before. Okay, now up here at Long Valley and Mono Lake, this whole area, and Mammoth Lakes. I'll just call them off and you can see them light up. 1.1, 0.6, 0.8, 1.3, 0.8, 0.8, 0.7, 1.0, 0.7, and 0.7. So quite a few there. And we saw that one up here at Truckee. We saw this one at Redway. Now let's come down on the west side. Let's look at the geysers. There are 14 earthquakes at the geysers today. From under ones to, there's a 1.7 is the highest. So there's 14 right there. So coming on down, here's here's 2 in the San Francisco area. Here's a 2.0, 3 kilometers southeast of Berkeley. That's a famous place. 2.0, 2 kilometers northeast of Hayward. And then coming on down, 1.6 at the Pinnacles, and a 1.7 at Pinnacles. We saw that one at Bodfish. Now let's come on down into the Southern California area. Here's a 1.2 at Ludlow. Here, let's get this little one, a 0.9 at Granada Hills. And nothing right there and down across the border. So let's zoom in. See what we've got. Here's Los Angeles. The Los Angeles area. We've got 51 on the map here. All peppering around, but mainly right here in this Kauai area. And let's see. And here's some by the Salton Sea, and over here. Let's look at this one. That's a 2.0 at Borrega Springs. That happened at 9:39 this morning. Let's look at these down here at Kauai. There's 25 right here. They're small, under 1, down to a 0.1, and up to 1.6 it looks like. But remember, the small ones add up, and that represents movement. And then we've got some peppered over here in those mountains. So let's see what else has come in during our report just now. Up too far. No. We saw that 4.1 at Brookings, Oregon. That came on right a little bit before I started the show at 3 o'clock, 2:58 p.m. So that's all of those. So the ones we've had come in were small ones. Looks like 1.9 in Hawaii, Fern Acres, Hawaii. That's pretty good size. That was at a minus 0.6 kilometers deep, so that was up in the mountain. That could be magma. Let's look at that. That could be magma in the volcano moving. Let's see. It's that red dot there. Uh-oh. Yeah, see, so that could be magma moving. And then we've had some more down here in Southern California, and then up here in Alaska. Some small ones, 1.3, 1.2, 1.7. Uh, 1.5 Banning, that just came in. 1.6 Badger, 2.3 Big Lake, and so forth. 2.2 Big Lake. So I think that's it for today. So let's wrap it up. And I know everybody's getting ready to start their weekend. So I hope everyone has a safe weekend, and wherever they are, and think about where we are in this walk, and that, you know, we don't have much time left, and how do you want to spend your last few days and weeks, and you know, what's important to you, and get your relationships tied up, and don't have anything just, you know, hanging on to you. Just go ahead and get them all tied up so that you can be ready to go when it's time. But most importantly, I recommend that you get your spiritual house in order. And until next time, God bless you, and go in peace, and good night.